Hello, I'm Ian. Today I'm going to show you how to take apart and lightly clean an AR15. This is my AR15 from Against All Enemies in Lake Havasu City, but it's exactly the same as any standard mil-spec rifle. It just looks fancy. So you start by just lightly wiping down the outside of any dust or any of that. Second step is to push in this rear takedown pin using a pin, your finger, or something. And then this other pin up front. Separate the two receivers. Bolt the charging handle back. Bolt. Move the charging handle. Take your pin again. Push down on this pin in the back. Remove your buffer and buffer spring. You're now ready. Just wipe down parts. I like to start with the bolt itself. So to clean the bolt, what you want to start with is disassembling your bolt. There is a pin back here to use your fingernail or dental pick or pen or anything. You just pull it out. Drop the firing pin. That's going to let your firing pin drop out. Firing pin, retaining pin. Next, you're going to depress the bolt. Rotate this little pin until it's out of the way of the gas key, which is this rod over the bolt. It's going to fall out, and then you're going to remove the bolt face itself. I'm just going to start by wiping down the outside of the bolt. On the inside, these two little rails back here. And inside the bolt face itself. You're going to check for carbon and all that down there. If there is, you just get a screwdriver or something, you scrape around the edge of in here and just kind of tap it on the desk. It'll kind of look like pepper. And you're also going to check the back of your bolt back here to make sure it's not a ridiculous amount of carbon buildup. Mine has a little bit, but it's not impeding it. But you can scrape that off with a flathead screwdriver and some oil of some sort. That's going to be where a lot of carbon will build up over time. And if you haven't cleaned a bolt or taken it apart, that's going to be the main issue with it and why it's not feeding properly, because there's a bunch of friction from all the carbon back there. So your bolt can't lock and unlock properly. So just lightly oil it. Get out a screwdriver or something. I like to use a flathead, just any size, doesn't matter. Pocket knife, get out of there. Yeah, you just kind of chisel the carbon away. You're not going to hurt your bolt. Carve that ring away. Again, it doesn't need to be 100%. It just needs to be so that way it's nice and smooth again instead of being all rough and whatnot and getting in the way of those gas rings. So the bolt, my bolt's pretty much clean for the most part. I'm going to wipe down my little pin over here. Wipe down this little retaining pin. And I'm going to wipe down my firing pin. Another thing you can do is you can take off this extractor right here with this pin. I just won't because I don't need to. This bolt has gone through enough rounds lately to have that done again. I'm going to reassemble the bolt. That first. Rotate that. Put that in sideways. Rotate 90 degrees. Pull forward. Grasp it right here and cover the gap in the bolt. Just drop the firing pin in. It should slide in. You insert this pin. And you can lube it up now or you can lube it up in the gun. I like to lube it up in the gun. Then I do my charging handle. I like to use a Q-tip to get in this groove up here. And I just kind of lightly lube this because this has a lot of friction points on it. That's good. I'm going to clean up my buffer spring and buffer itself. My buffer spring is relatively clean, so I'm not going to worry about that. Put those two back together. Move all these little parts off to the side. I'm going to move on to the upper receiver. When cleaning the upper receiver, if you have optics, do not wipe down your lenses with oils or any rags that have had oil on them. Only use what they provide you, or a microfiber towel, or something you'd clean glass with. You would not want to get those oils on there because they're going to damage any coatings, or they're just going to smudge up your lens and you won't be able to see out of it. Same with lasers. Any lights, nothing. Clean up all of that. One area of importance is the star chamber back here. To get that, you can use a dental pick and Q-tips to clean that area It's going to be extremely hard to get into, but it is important to clean, because if it gets too dirty, your bolt cannot lock up. You'll be unable to. So you take a dental pick, and you just reach down, you scrape around the edges in there, kind of loosen everything up. Put some oil in there. Then I like to also blow it out with some compressed air. It doesn't need to be 100% clean. It just needs to have enough tolerances to let that bolt lock and unlock. I like to shoot a lot of 22 long rifle out of this. So this gun gets very dirty because 22 is a very dirty round. Again, it doesn't need to be 100%, it just needs to be serviceable. You don't want to get all of the carbon and grease off unless you're putting it away for long-term storage, because you don't want raw metal rubbing on raw metal. If you can use that pre-existing carbon and oil to just act as a protectant, it's a good thing. Just kind of lightly oil these areas where the bolt will ride and the charging handle is. Lubricate the star chamber. And what I like to do is I like to take a bore brush measured in 22 and I take some Hops 9 and I run it down the barrel and I let it sit while I'm cleaning the lower receiver. This step is important for me because, again, with shooting that 22 long rifle out of this, I have a lot of lead fouling in my barrel. So it's very important I get it out so my gun will shoot accurately and reliably. Rods off. And I'll just let that sit, and I'm going to move on to the lower receiver. It's important to clean your lower receiver because a lot of carbon and fouling will build up in your trigger springs, and then your trigger can fail, or you'll get a lot of it in this area, or even down your mag well. So I like to start by just wiping down the outside, and then I wipe down the inside of this mag well, just to get all of that carbon, dirt, whatever's in there out. And I kind of slowly wipe down the edges. Wipe down the threads over by the buffer. And then if I want to, just wipe down the inside of the buffer. My buffer is fine though, it's not very dirty. I also like to take compressed air on these threads. Now I get some of that gunk out of there and just kind of wipe it away with a Q-tip. For the trigger, I like to take compressed air again, try to blow it all out because I don't like putting Q-tips and stuff in there because I want stuff also stuck underneath the trigger. So you can just blow it all out for the most part. And just lightly clean it up with a Q-tip. Clean up this area over here. And the bolt catch. Clean underneath it. And you're just going to lightly oil that. Lightly oil the trigger if you want to. Trigger springs. I like to lightly oil the inside of where the buffer lays. And that's pretty much good. Back to the barrel. Well, first I'm going to put the buffer back in its home. So that's good. Put that out of the way. For the barrel, I'm going to get some patches out. I'm just going to slowly patch the barrel with some 22 caliber cleaning patches. Yep. Stick that on there. Get on there. And you just as you can see, that barrel's filthy, well, at 22 fouling. So I'm going to continue to run patches down it until it becomes less dirty. Better. Get in there, you go. Get in there. Gosh darn. Keeps getting stuck in my bird cage. seems to be getting cleaner. Just to make sure, I would start doubling up on patches, just to get down into those grooves. And the rifling. Tight. Yep. My bore is mostly clean. So now I'm able to oil down the upper receiver. Well, I already did that. So I'm going to oil up the bolt, put the tri-handle back in, and then I'm going to reassemble the gun. To oil the bolt, just drop right in these little holes on the side of the bolt, and take whatever excess you have with a Q-tip and just run it everywhere you see wear, because that's going to be the areas with the most friction. Do it on the bolt face, down over by the extractor, underneath where it's going to run up on the rounds, the magazine, and all other parts, down the trigger area where it runs in the receiver. You don't really need to oil the back because the back doesn't actually touch anything. And just work it back and forth and put it in the gun. Get in there, you go. Put together, front pin first, and then rear pin. Do a functions check. Cool, my gun works. And that's it.